Hey learners, Frosty the LLN guy here. I have a lot of students who struggle learning new words, like this one, metacognition. Now I have a few steps that I use with my students that you might find useful when you're learning new words coming up. Now before I start, I just need to say this is not a video intended for people learning how to speak English. It's for people who are already proficient with the language. Okay, first step, identify the word. A lot of the time my students read sentences and just say they don't understand it and don't realize that it's actually the vocabulary that they don't understand. So one of the first questions you should ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what a sentence means is, do I understand every word that's being used? Now, this can be a little bit arduous and difficult to begin with, but with practice, it gets easier and easier. Step 2, write the word and definition down. I get my students to write vocabulary that they're struggling with at the back of their book, usually with the definition. Some students like to draw pictures and things like that, and that's fine too. You've got to do what works for you, but do it enough that it becomes a habit. And over time, you'll find it easier to learn those words. Step 3, use the words often. The more you use the words, the easier it's going to enter into your vernacular and the language that you use every day. Be kind to yourself here. Say things like, is that how you use that word? And be ready for people to correct you. Remember, you're learning and that's okay. Step 4, use the words in different forms. Now, I might do another video about this at some stage, looking at the modality of words, but for this video, we'll just talk about your vocab list and how you can be curious about it and look at the words in different forms. So the noun Facebook could turn into the verb Facebooking. The more curious you are about it, the more confident you become using them in different fashions. Step 5, use flashcards. Now, if you don't know what these are, they're cards where on one side is the word, on the other side is the definition. You look at the word, try to define it, spin it over and see if you're right. Now, this is great for rote learning and it's really good to know what the definitions of the words are, but I would still encourage you to try to use them in sentences. But there are terrific apps out there that you can use on your phone that will really help you cram for those tests and get your vocabulary up to par. So now you're ready to tackle some of those difficult words and expand that vocabulary, like the word that we had at the start of the video, metacognition. Now, if you know what that means, maybe you could put a comment below that defines it. And if you don't know what that means, maybe you could use some of the strategies that were discussed in this video and then build on your understanding. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to ask me any questions. And if you have a suggestion for me to cover something, please just let me know. I'm Frosty, the LLN guy.